We begin with the impressive story of how a woman born in Spanish Harlem, New York, to Puerto Rican parents, she became the first woman and the first Hispanic to serve as U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts, as in 2009 she was nominated by President Barack Obama to be our district's top federal prosecutor. Undoubtedly, 2013 was a unique year, to say the least, as U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz was front and center during the region's most talked about case. I'm, of course, referring to the Whitey Bulger case. And who could ever forget that we see the Whitey Bulger case, but we also cannot forget the Boston Marathon bombing, as her office also leads that investigation and prosecution process as well. So with that in mind, we welcome Urban to Urban Update, U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, Carmen Ortiz. Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Actually, I have to start off, not buenos días. Happy birthday. Feliz cumpleaños.
Thank you. Don't remind me.
You know, it is great to get you here, the U.S. Attorney, but on your birthday, this makes us feel very good.
I know. I'm working 24/7.
I can see that
time.
On a Sunday. Well, feliz cumpleaños.
Well, thank you.
I will not ask you how old.
Please don't.
Absolutely not.
Please don't.
Okay. You know what? Let's start off. What is the role of the U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts, for those who do not know exactly what it is that you do?
Well, I'm the Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer. Basically, I'm the key prosecutor on the federal level. My boss is the Attorney General of the United States. The U.S. Attorney's Office is part of the Department of Justice. And primarily, I oversee an office that investigates and prosecutes violations of federal criminal law. And we also represent the United States to sue parties who commit violations of federal law, but also to defend the United States when the government is a party in a lawsuit.
So the logical question for me is, how does a Latina from Spanish Harlem, New York, become the U.S. Attorney of Massachusetts? Take me through this amazing journey.
Well, I've been an attorney for over 30 years, and I have been very fortunate. I've had a terrific career. I've been a state and federal prosecutor. I have also been a civil litigator, a defense attorney. I did a criminal justice program at Harvard Law School, and so I've had a very varied career for over 30 years, and I think all of those different positions helped me to become the U.S. Attorney and help prepare me. But to get to even that career, I owe it to my parents, quite frankly. I'm the oldest of 5 children born of Puerto Rican parents, as you pointed out. And you know, I grew up with parents who really instilled with me a very strong work ethic and values, and basically told me that if I worked hard, if I studied and focused on school, that I could do whatever I wanted to do, and they always wanted so much more for me. And so as a result, you know, I worked very hard in school. When I was young, I decided I wanted to be a lawyer, and so I worked hard in grammar school to get to high school, from high school to college, and then from college on to law school.
Yeah, I've heard you speak about your parents and the role they've played and the values they've instilled, but I've also heard you talk a little bit about the hardships you faced in your personal life, because it hasn't been a bed of roses. It has not been always easy for you. Could you share a little bit of that with our viewers?
Sure. I mean, I think when I was growing up, I dealt with just issues of finance. You know, we grew up in a housing project. I had to work very, very hard for everything that I had. My parents had to work very, very hard for everything that they have in raising 5 children. At school, I got through school by working, through scholarships, internships, work study, grants, loans, you name it. And so I think that's how I got my education, essentially. And I was very fortunate. I did well in school. I got tuition scholarships as well. And then as a young attorney, I dealt with, you know, certain stereotypes that exist in terms of having to consistently prove yourself. But quite frankly, I didn't see those as major hardships. I saw it as an opportunity to make a difference, to break down barriers, and really to prove myself. And I think I did it through hard work and dedication. And you know, and even and then when I thought I was successful, you know, you deal with personal hardships as well.
Yeah, I've heard you speak, and you've inspired a lot of young women of all backgrounds, because you have talked about how difficult it was. And the advice that you always give, I've heard you say it, and that's why I kind of want to give you this platform to do it, is what is the main advice that you give younger women who always come up to you and say, Carmen, how did you do it?
I tell them, I sort of talk about these principles that have guided my own professional career, and I tell them, dare to dream, to want it all, to have goals and ambitions for yourself, to work hard, not to be afraid to ask for help, to surround yourself. I tell them to surround themselves with people who believe in them, who can encourage them, and really support what their ambitions are, and never to give up, not to be afraid to take risks, to go for it because you have nothing to lose.
All right, well, listen, that was awesome on the personal side. Now we're going to get into the professional side. In 2011, the Boston Globe named her Bostonian of the Year. In 2012, Boston Magazine labeled her the third most powerful person in Boston. And later that year, she was named Latina of the Year by New England's largest newspaper, El Mundo. We continue with U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz. So congratulations on that. I know that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great honor from El Mundo that year, Latina of the Year.
You had many that year, but I want to continue on this. We talked a little bit about your personal life, but obviously we've seen you front and center. You knew this past year was going to be big with the Whitey Bulger case. You knew you were going to be involved in that. But when April 15th struck and the Boston Marathon in Boston was struck with this terrorist, it kind of just, that was not in the plans for you this year.
No, not for anyone, quite frankly.
So, what have you learned from both experiences? I've always wanted to ask you that.
Well, I learned different things from each experience, and let me start with the Whitey Bulger case. In the Bulger case, I learned that persistence and doggedness really pays off. And I was thrilled that after so many years that he had been a fugitive, and certainly after his capture, that along with my law enforcement partners, the team from my office, we were able to bring this man to justice. One of the key things about that case that really struck me and touched me was the incredible pain and suffering that the victims have been put through, the fact that they had been denied justice for many, many years, and the fact that they expected to hopefully have justice. And I hope that through the convictions and the sentencings of Mr. Bulger, that we've been able to bring them some degree of solace. And so I learned that even though in many ways corrupt law enforcement had been a piece of Mr. Bulger's criminal activities, it was honest, hardworking law enforcement that finally brought him to justice. And I hope that we were able to bring some degree of comfort to the victims in that case. In the Marathon case, I learned the incredible resiliency that exists in this city. That again was a case that that shook our sense of security. It completely destroyed certain families, brought tremendous pain, suffering, injury to many others who were victims in that case. But through the collaboration of law enforcement, we have been able to get to a point where hopefully we will be able to bring justice to those victims, and also faith in the system and faith in the criminal justice system.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. Obviously, part of your role is to prosecute the process of the prosecution. But I've seen you many places. We're seeing you there. I guess getting sworn in. I don't know if that was the official one. Do you remember that outfit?
That's right. I do remember that. That was my swearing in.
Because I don't care what woman it is, you remember the outfit, right? Yeah. So that was the swearing in, right? Part of it is being visible and accessible. You're here. I've seen you at some events in the community. You've done a lot in the Latino community, public speaking. Is that important to you, to be accessible and visible to the community?
Absolutely. I think that, everybody sees the main role of the prosecutor as primarily being a law enforcer. You investigate cases, you make arrests, you prosecute matters, and you convict people, and then they get, go on probation or they go to jail. But another very important piece of being a prosecutor, I believe, and certainly under this administration, is being involved in prevention and intervention of crime, reaching out to the community, being engaged, listening to their concerns, letting them know that you as a government official are accessible to hear what is on their minds, to help instill faith in the criminal justice system, and also to help with whatever concerns they may have. And so it's very important that I reach out to many different communities in the civil rights arena, and primarily also in our violence prevention efforts, especially with youth. And I've done many speeches involving young people that talk about making the right choices and really taking control of their lives.
I get the sense that that part of it you enjoy a lot. that
I
part
enjoy
of your
that a
job?
great deal. I do. I think, especially with young people, and being a woman and being the first Latina in this position, I feel that it sort of plays an inspirational role. That I think many young kids say, "Wow, if she can do it, I can do it too."
Yeah,
and that's
good.
what I hope.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so now you're looking back at 2013, an incredible year. I'm going to ask you to look into your crystal ball here, okay? And let's say we have this show a year from today. What do you see in the next year? What's any cases, anything that we should be looking forward to? And you personally, what do you see yourself in another year from now?
I think in a year from now, I see myself as still as the U.S. Attorney, leading the office, having a sense of accomplishment by cases that we have brought to fruition this past year in one way or another. We have a number of big trials coming up, investigations that have been going on, continuing to reach out to the community, especially with my law enforcement partners. This is the lowest, the crime rate, violent crime is down, murder rate is down, really to work together with the community and other law enforcement partners to continue to make the community safe and have people believe in the system.
All right. Well, thank you for coming by.
Thank
I
you.
can now say that I partied, well, not partied, but with the U.S. District Attorney on her birthday, because today is your birthday for those who tune in late. Feliz cumpleaños.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias, Alberto.
All right.
Thank you so much.